The concept of tariffs and their implications on global trade often feel distant, but under the leadership of President-elect Donald Trump, this issue has leaped into the spotlight. Trump's approach to tariffs has been bold, controversial, and transformative, not just for the U.S. economy, but for global trade as a whole. Let's unravel this complex web filled with numbers, reactions, and global impacts. To begin, Trump's stance on tariffs is rooted in his America First ideology. Throughout his campaigns and presidency, he emphasized protecting domestic industries, reducing trade deficits, and bringing manufacturing jobs back to American soil. Tariffs, essentially taxes on imported goods, became his primary tool. His administration imposed significant duties on steel and aluminum in 2018, targeting imports from countries like China, Canada, and Mexico. These tariffs ranged from 10% to 25%, shaking up trade relationships that had been stable for decades. The justification? National security, and the claim that these imports threaten domestic producers. But it wasn't just metals. Trump's administration launched a full-scale trade war with China, slapping tariffs on over $550 billion worth of Chinese goods. This ranged from electronics to consumer products, with the intention of countering what the U.S. deemed unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. For context, China retaliated with tariffs on $185 billion worth of American products, hitting industries like agriculture and manufacturing hard. The impact of these policies was immediate and multifaceted. For the U.S., the effects on consumers were direct. Tariffs on imported goods meant higher prices at stores. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research estimated that by late 2019, American consumers and businesses were paying over $40 billion annually due to increased costs from tariffs. This burden disproportionately affected middle and lower-income households, who spend a higher percentage of their income on everyday goods. On the flip side, U.S. farmers found themselves caught in the crossfire. China, a major importer of American soybeans, pork, and other agricultural products, redirected its supply chains to countries like Brazil. Between 2018 and 2020, U.S. soybean exports to China dropped by more than 50%, leaving farmers reliant on government subsidies to stay afloat. The U.S. government distributed $28 billion in aid to farmers during this period, but many argued it wasn't enough to offset the long-term damage to trade relationships. Globally, the ripples of these policies extended far and wide. Allies like Canada and the European Union didn't take these measures lightly. Canada, for example, imposed retaliatory tariffs on $12.6 billion worth of U.S. goods, targeting items like whiskey, orange juice, and steel. The European Union followed suit, levying tariffs on $3.4 billion worth of U.S. imports, including iconic products like Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Levi's jeans. Emerging markets like India and Brazil took a more calculated approach. While they voiced opposition to the tariffs, they also sought opportunities to fill gaps left by U.S. products in countries like China. For instance, Brazilian soybean exports to China surged to record levels during the trade war, showcasing how global trade is rarely a zero-sum game. Critics of Trump's tariff strategy argued that while the intention of protecting domestic jobs was laudable, the execution was flawed. Many economists highlighted that tariffs disrupted global supply chains, reduced economic efficiency, and often led to counterproductive outcomes. For instance, U.S. manufacturing, a sector Trump sought to bolster, experienced declining growth rates by 2019, partly due to increased costs for raw materials like steel and aluminum. Interestingly, some sectors did see temporary benefits. U.S. steel production, for example, grew in the immediate aftermath of the tariffs, with companies reporting increased profits. However, these gains were short-lived as retaliatory tariffs and higher operational costs dampened demand. The automotive industry, heavily reliant on imported steel, faced challenges in balancing cost increases with competitive pricing. As Trump prepares to take office again, his signaling of renewed tariff threats, this time targeting Mexican imports, has reignited debates. Mexico, the U.S.'s largest trading partner in goods, has expressed its readiness to retaliate. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum emphasized that such measures would not only strain bilateral relations, but also hurt industries on both sides of the border. For example, the U.S. auto industry, deeply integrated with Mexican supply chains, could face severe disruptions. The global response to these renewed threats is telling. Markets have already reacted cautiously, with analysts warning of potential declines in cross-border investments. The World Trade Organization, WTO, which oversees international trade disputes, has flagged the potential for a cascading effect where other countries might adopt similar protectionist measures. What makes this situation even more compelling is the interplay of geopolitics and economics. China, for example, has shifted its focus toward building regional partnerships like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, which excludes the U.S. and encompasses some of the world's largest economies. Similarly, the European Union has accelerated its green energy investments, aiming to reduce reliance on U.S.-dominated fossil fuel markets. So, what does the future hold? While tariffs under Trump have undoubtedly reshaped the trade landscape, the long-term outcomes are still unfolding. As the global economy grapples with post-pandemic recovery, rising inflation, and technological disruptions, the stakes have never been higher. The narrative of tariffs is one of interdependence and consequence. While they might serve as powerful bargaining tools, their real-world impacts remind us of the intricate ties that bind economies. In this ever-connected world, the ripple effects of such policies are felt not just in boardrooms or government halls, but in the lives of ordinary people, from farmers in Iowa to factory workers in Shenzhen. The question remains, is the price worth paying? To encourage us in our effort, please like the video and subscribe the channel.